friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I'm back out here at my bean tree, and I wanted to talk just a little bit about companion planting. Now I'm going to give you a date. Today is, I believe, August 3rd. By the time you see this, it'll probably be August 6th because we don't post videos on Saturdays and Sundays, and I already have a video scheduled to go up tomorrow that it's already behind. I need to get it up. So I just like to, when it comes to garden updates, I like to keep you, make sure you know where we're at date-wise, because things can change from day to day, as I'm going to show you pretty quick. So as you see, my little bean tree here, and if you didn't see my other garden update where I talked about this, I'm calling it a bean tree because it is my ex-cherry tree that we didn't get in the ground soon enough. We got cherries off of it for a few years, and then last year it just quit. And so now it's my bean tree. Now, somebody brought this up, and at the time I didn't think about it. As you see, I have some green onions growing all around that, and I keep them harvested because I come out and I take a chunk off, and it just grows new shoots, and I just keep using it and harvesting on it, and you know, eventually they'll finish up and I won't be able to get any more off of them. But these were the green onions that were started from just little leftover pieces of green onions that were bought at the store, and I just put them in there, and I've done this before, but this year the green onions were that I'm growing have been the healthiest ever. And here's the funny part, is some of you may not know this about this when it comes to companion planting. I knew about it, but at the time didn't think about it, though I normally do. But you are not supposed to, according to the book, plant onions and garlic next to beans and peas, which normally I never do. But to be honest, though, there's two things. I love to experiment because I don't always just trust what the book says, but I also sometimes just forget, right? And so I just, oh, here's a space, and stick stuff in there and forget that, oh, whoops, that was next to some beans. And that's actually what happened here. But I'm glad that I forgot about that, because here's what I'm seeing happen here. In this particular case, I've got beans. I mean, this thing is loaded with little baby beans. I've actually picked a mature one. There's one that's just about ready to pick for using as a green bean. Now these beans will get that wide, and they can get up to a foot long. And those, when they get that big, I let them stay on there, and I use them as a dry bean for making chili and beans and cornbread. But so coupled with the loaded down beans and the fact that these are the healthiest green onions I've ever had, and they're growing happily next to each other. So the point of this is, though it's a good thing to read the books and understand what they say, and yes, I've been practicing the method of not planting garlic and onions next to my beans and peas, here was a case that I just didn't think about it, and hey, it's working fine. It doesn't mean it will work fine for you if you try it. No, it doesn't mean that. But the point I'm trying to make is that don't be afraid to experiment, especially if you're working in a small space like I am, and you only have so much area to work with. Sometimes you just have to go ahead and just try and see what's going to work. I've tried things and they've failed, and I've tried things and they've been huge successes, and that is how I've learned. Like this parsley here, I'm actually allowing it to go to seed because I want to get some seed off it, because it's been a very healthy parsley plant. I just, usually whenever I buy a new plant that I've never, if I'm buying it as a start, or even if I start it in seed, I'll always try growing it in pots first to see how well it does before I stick it in the ground, or I'll put some in pots and some in the ground. And this has been just going crazy in this pot. And, but right now I want it to go to seed so I can try planting it in various places next year from that same seed. Okay, now let me move on to some, what I would call a failure. Okay, so this is a lesson I've already known. And anyone who's ever grown peas will know this, but if you've never grown peas or you're new to it, here's the thing. You might be looking at that going, well, what are you complaining about? You got lots of peas on there. They look great. Well, yeah, but do you see the yellow? Do you see all that yellow in there? What's happening is, well, yesterday I was gone all day. We had to go out of town and we were gone all day, and I didn't get out here to pick any peas. All it takes is to miss 1 or 2 days in a row. You see this? This is drying up and ready to go, is going to be going to seed. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one. There's another one back here. But when this happens with peas, I don't know if you can see that. Sorry, trying to get it in the picture. Right there. When this happens with peas, your peas will stop producing, and then the plant will start to turn yellow. So whenever you see your pea plants starting to turn yellow, what that means is you've got peas that you've missed, or you haven't been picking them enough. So whenever you're growing just regular old peas, you got to pick them every single day. And at this time of the year for us, I have to pick them twice a day. If I don't, this is what happens. So because I screwed up, I was gone all day. Well, that couldn't be helped. We had to be gone all day. We didn't have any choice. But if I would have been more diligent, either coming out early yesterday morning and picking these before we left, or the night before, I probably wouldn't see this going on. And so you got to be diligent. I should still get quite a few peas off it, and I've been picking a lot and eating them right away or feeding them to the chickens, but I did want to at least be able to freeze up a couple of pint-sized jars just to, you know, have a handful of peas to throw into a few different dinners along the way, because that's what I do with peas. I'm not crazy about canning them. I actually never have, and I don't really care to. I do love using them frozen. Same thing with snow peas. I didn't grow any this year, but I found my favorite way for snow peas, because snow peas aren't good canned. I've never tried it because I already knew that they weren't good canned, but is to freeze them without blanching them. I made the mistake of doing things by the book. The first year I tried freezing my snow peas, you know, cooking them for just the right amount of time, immediately taking them out, put them in ice water, and they turned out gross. They were just gross. So the next year, what I did was I'd pick the snow peas and I would cut them into thirds or quarters or halves, depending on how big the peas were. And then I just froze them in food saver bags, and those turned out excellent. I didn't blanch them. They turned out so much better. And while I'm talking about peas and beans, I do not blanch my beans either. Though I have canned beans before, I've never canned my own homegrown beans. And I actually find I prefer my beans frozen. So I do not blanch them, because when I found out that the peas did better without blanching, I decided, well, I'm not going to bother even trying to blanch the green beans. I'm just going to cut them up and do just like I did with the peas. And they turn out great. I just love them. So we just, you know, I just freeze up several pints, and I still have, in fact, it was only a couple months ago I finally used up the last of the beans from the year before. And so I still have pretty much all of last year's beans. And now I've got a plethora of beans coming on all over the place. Now this is the first time I've ever grown just runner beans right in here. Usually I just kind of intersperse the runner beans along here, but this is usually dedicated for my purple potted pole beans, and then a section just for peas, and then a section for maybe another type of beans, which is what this was supposed to be right here, but it just didn't work out. So I'm really glad that I just went ahead and planted nothing but the runner beans there, and then I added some runner beans in here later. That's why these ones are so much farther behind than those. And in case you didn't know, there's 3 different types of runner beans that I have. 2 of them are hard to tell the difference because they're the same color. There's a sunset, or there's the scarlet runner, and then there's the Barnside Sweet runner, and they're the same color. However, the Barnside Sweet get even bigger than the scarlet runners. And yes, for those of you who didn't know, the scarlet runners are edible, and they're my very favorite bean to grow, to eat, both as a green bean and as a dried bean in chilies and soups and that kind of stuff. So the other one is the one you see with the peach colored flowers, and that is called the Sunset Runner. I got all of those seeds initially from Baker Creek, and that's rareseeds.com. All of the runner beans I grew this year were from seed that I saved from last year. None of these are packaged beans. And it looks like I still have a few more I could pick for eating as a green bean. I'll let those get a little bit bigger than that, because that's actually pretty small for a runner bean, because these will get huge. But you do, if you're going to eat them as a green bean, when it comes to the runner beans, the younger you pick them, the better you're going to have for flavor and tenderness. If they get too big, they just get real tough, and then you're better off leaving them there and letting them dry. But for now, I want to keep up on them, so probably later tonight or tomorrow I'll come out and look through the beans again and pick anything that's at least this size. And and then those I'll freeze up. The ones I picked earlier today, I just put right in the dinner I'm making for tonight. One thing I forgot to mention, I was talking about my dinner, is I forgot to show you that I am baking it in the solar oven. So there's my mix of veggies from the garden. There's plus the dried garlic, that's not from the garden, but some Anaheim peppers, some green beans, some zucchini, and potatoes. I think there's something else in there. I forgot what. And this one is my chicken, so it's really kind of just getting started. I stuck it in there frozen, and so but it'll be done by dinner time. And of course, as I keep saying, if you're interested in the Solivor solar oven, my affiliate link is in the first link you'll see in the description box. So, just in case you don't know this, if you're looking for links, just make sure you hit the show more in the description box, and you'll see a whole bunch more things in there, like contact information, our snail mail address, all that kind of stuff is in there. So yeah, just hit show more and you'll find that all, and that's my affiliate link. I like the Solivor solar oven. It's served us well even in this very cloudy, typically very cloudy area, for about 6 years now. I don't use it in late fall through early spring, but usually late spring through early fall it gets used quite a bit. So it's served us well here in Rain Country. Mostly that's what I wanted to talk about, was that, you know, the things that I experiment with that are supposed to be wrong that turned out right, and then just the mistake I made of not keeping up on picking my peas. So that's the thing about whenever you start growing a garden, no matter how big it is, there's going to come a certain point of the year, which for us is August, that if you're not out here picking and harvesting things every day, you're not going to get as much out of your plants. I mean, there's a lot more you could realize out of your plants if you just keep up on them every single day. So you don't take vacations. You don't run off to Disneyland in Mexico. You have to give up going to family reunions during the summer, because if you do, you're going to, unless you have someone that you can trust that's going to come out and take care of your garden and pick your stuff and give it water if it needs it and all that kind of stuff, you're going to lose a lot of your harvest. So that's just the commitment you make when you decide to go this path. So it's just one of those realizations. You have to decide what's more important. For us, we usually try to make family trips in winter instead of doing it in the summertime, because we realized we had to give up summer vacations and exchange them for getting away in the winter if we're able to. So, oh, and by the way, my echinaceas are starting to look much healthier. And here's this other one here. Lots of flowers. And I've been harvesting lots of leaves. And yes, I still need to come out here and do a video on that and many other herbs. I've got so many more herbs to do. I'm going to do one on nasturtiums, one on the echinacea. See, I just did the borage one. I did the marshmallow one. So if you haven't seen any of those, I've tried to make sure they're in a playlist about medicinal and culinary herbs, so you can find that playlist. I will actually link to that playlist in the end cards, and just be checking it out, because I'm going to keep adding more videos about those herbs as I go along. All right, so that's my kind of garden updatey kind of thingy, and just some little pointers, things to think about. And I hope you enjoyed this video and that maybe you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.